She's a conservative and I'm a liberal, and yet we've been friends for almost 40 years. Everyone says you shouldn't talk about politics, religion, or money, and we say that's exactly what friends should be talking about. Join us as we tackle the conversations that you're having in your head, but are too scared to say out loud. Hello, Jolene.
Hello, my friend.
This is a hot topic, as it turns out, and it's about New York City, which it happens. It's the economic engine of this country. Mr. Mamdani really upset the apple cart. It has caused, I would say, a huge chain reaction on both the right and the left, and it doesn't seem to be just a city issue because you, my dear friend, wanted to talk about this more than I did. I have so many thoughts, and I've done a ton of research since he won. But I would love to know, number one, why you wanted to talk about it. And what is the information that you've been given? Because I knew before I voted, and the city, as voters, we now have ranked choice voting, which is a brand new thing for us. So we had to learn what that meant. And the fact that a lot of people don't even vote in primaries in New York. So this was a huge coup. And we all had to learn how to do this ranked choice voting. I remember you texting me several times like, you know, I'm just so afraid that the Socialist is going to win. And I'm sort of going, huh? What?
Yeah, that was like 2 months ago, or even 2 months before the election.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, like that's ego. No, don't worry about it.
Not only don't worry about it, but I just found it funny that you kept calling him the Socialist.
The Socialist.
Quote unquote.
I couldn't think of his name. I didn't want to know his name. It was like, why do I have to learn his name? Blah, blah.
Yep. So,
and here we are.
And here we are. What was happening in your media feeds, in your world that you... Just tell me what happened for you.
I'm curious as to why you think he won. I mean, I want to get your thoughts on why he won. What made him successful? Does that scare you? Or are you okay with him being the Democratic nominee? Because I feel like this could be where the Democrats are going now. I mean, so far to the left that they're socialists that like it's not even part of the Democratic, our father's Democratic Party anymore.
Before I answer that, what were the messages that you were being delivered either before the election and then after the election? Because there's a lot of Democrats that are upset too. So I'm just curious what your experience was. If you were afraid, what are you afraid of?
I think I'm afraid that his message of, screw the rich and let's take care of the poor, the working class, that sets well with younger people and the working class and all that. But if you dig into what those policies are and what he truly believes, that's not America anymore. That's Venezuela. That's Cuba. And so that concerns me that people are so hungry for, I think it kind of started with the Palestinian, what's happening in Gaza and with the Israel, Palestinian war. I think it kind of stemmed from that. Like, and we see the dust ups in the colleges and the universities and all of the protesting and all that. And we're seeing a lot of this anti-Semitism that now is almost being advertised as, this is what's healthy for America because we need to fight the resistance, that we need to be the resistance. We need to, make sure that we're not just standing by letting America be America. And that scares me because I don't think this younger generation that I think Mamdani really activated, I don't think they really understand what they're fighting for. It sounds good. It's the same Bernie Sanders and AOC. It's their message of, again, tax the rich and help the poor. That sounds good to everybody, but in reality, in being practical, it's not that easy.
I guess I'm confused by you said you're concerned that they're using anti-Semitism. That's not what America is. That bit I didn't understand. Can you clarify that?
I think when we're seeing these protests on college campuses, they're protesting this Palestinian-Israeli war. What's happening in Gaza, we all get it. It's horrible. And Israel hasn't been the best actor in this. When you then take that a step further and you start talking about the annihilation of Israel, like the people who truly want to annihilate Israel, that's in their blood, that, you know, some of these Palestinians or, you know, Hamas or, you know, whatever the factions are. And I shouldn't even say Palestinians. You know what? I should take that, because it's not necessarily Palestine. It's Hamas. It's
right.
You know, the militant arm of the Palestinians. So I think it goes from, yes, we all want Palestinians to live free and happy, and yes, we all want that, to then we look at those militant groups that of Hamas that is taking it to the next level. And so then you've got people that are spewing anti-Semitism rhetoric because they think they're wanting to free the Palestinians, and it's two different things. And I'm scared to think that the people who are behind Mamdani think that it's okay, that's the solution, is to wipe out Jews. That scares me to death.
Yes, but I think it's very interesting. Number one, I didn't even rank Mamdani. So my experience is very different because I didn't know much about him. I got my pamphlet, my voter pamphlet, and there were 9 candidates running for mayor, for Democratic mayor. And one of them was a clown. Not kidding.
Like literally
a clown, you guys. His name was like Prince Lovejoy something. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And to me, yes, Linda, fucking kidding me. I was like, this is fucking crazy. And I'm looking at all of them and I'm like, I don't like anybody. That was my experience, right? And I was an early voter. I think I voted on day 2, which I kind of regret now, voting that early, because so much happened as it went on, to get even more clarification about people. And so, like, I think I voted for Brad Lander 3rd, and then he got arrested. But it was such political theater that it sort of like, I was like, like some of his stuff was really interesting. Josh and I voted for this guy named Whitney Tilson. I think Josh and me and his family voted for him. I'm not quite sure. Okay. But he's a guy that he is a wealthy, self-made businessman who started Teach for America, has like a big open heart. And I thought, well, this guy's interesting. I have no idea who he is, but he's got a business brain and he's got a big old heart. And that's appealing to me. I think, okay, maybe this will help. Because our city, in my opinion, is a total mess. Yeah. And I cannot stand Eric Adams. He's a total slime ball. I'm looking at this booklet of eight and a clown. And it was really tempting to vote for the clown just for fun, but I didn't.
Wait, did the clown get more votes than the guy that you voted for?
No, they got, I think, equal. I think it was like 0.1%.
Okay.
Listen, I mean, when you're like, wow, a clown is running, the performer in me is like, yeah, the clown should totally win. So even in my liberal media, Joe, I was hearing bad things about Mamdani. And having half of me be Jewish and being married to a Jewish person and being a free to be you and me kind of person, I was buying into this narrative that was being spoken about him. And, you know, I try not to even look on the TikTok. So I was not being targeted with TikTok ads from the right or the left. And the left and the right were so much racist shit, like making his beard longer, like doing filter shit to scare people that he's a bad guy. So to full disclosure, I was convinced that I shouldn't rank him. Why? I don't really know. I'm very embarrassed to say that I ranked the sexual assaulter. I did rank Cuomo. And now I'm embarrassed that I did. Because more and more has come out, and I'll address the Mamdani thing in a second, that he's just a bad dude, Cuomo. He is mean and vindictive, and I'm like, you know what? No. So what was fascinating, Joe, was that you were like, let's talk about this guy. And I'm like, okay. And so now I'm deep diving and going, wow, this is really interesting. I don't know if I like him, but what I do find fascinating about his campaign, number one, they talk about in the Democratic Party that the only way that they used to campaign was through TV buys. That was like you raise a lot of money and then you buy TV commercials. Well, Mamdani is 33 and he's modern. He has a very famous filmmaker mother who I very much like. And he grew up he's not a TV watcher, and most people aren't anymore. And so here Cuomo is, spending millions and millions of dollars throwing ads on TV. I didn't see them. I guess if you sat in a bar and was watching a game, maybe you would see these ads. But otherwise, Mamdani, number one, was using social media very effectively. But I have to give him credit. He had, I think it was 30,000 volunteers by the end, and he knocked on 1.5 million doors. Just talking to people, asking them what they wanted, asking them what concerned them. And to me, what I found interesting about him was it reminded me of what we're doing on the podcast. So it was like, you know what? People want to feel heard. They want to have human connection. He had 4 talking points: freeze the rent, free buses, free childcare, and city-owned groceries. Now, this is going to cost a lot of money. And Hochul, our governor, has already said, absolutely not. But that doesn't matter. He's keeping on. He's going to try. And what I can admire about him is that he's going to try something. And what I find also interesting is that Trump does it all the time. He throws stuff against the wall and people go, yay! And then a lot of times it doesn't happen, but he tried. And I think the city, as in New York City, is like, we need help, and this guy's listening to us. He's so smart in the interviews that I have now listened to. He's so smart. And he talks about that he came to the United States as a 7-year-old, and that September 11th happened when he was 9 years old. And I know from friends of mine that are Middle Eastern, the enormous backlash against Muslim people after September 11th. And he felt it then, and he felt it, coming up. But as in the interviews that I have listened to, I tried to listen to the right and the left because everybody wants him now. Yeah. I even wrote a letter, as you know. I was like, maybe we can get him on. But his dance card's pretty full right now, so who knows? Maybe Mamdani will come on here and talk to us. But he was talking about, number one, he's getting a ton of death threats and a lot of racial profiling on the right and the left. And he was explaining that to be a good Muslim is to be a good person. And I truly don't know that much about being a Muslim. Mm-hmm. And I know that there is extreme on either side of every religion. So part of me wants to give him the benefit of the doubt. His remarks about globalizing the Intifada, which is, I think, what you're talking about. Yes, it gives me pause. Since his nomination, he has not walked it back, but has said that he believes Jewish people in New York should be safe and should feel safe, and that he will keep on moving towards that. Normally in a New York primary, it's such a wildly democratic place that when you win the primary, you win the election. This is a situation that he's still going to have to work really hard to keep on talking to people. Like, I don't know, Senator Gillibrand, she said some pretty slanderous things, which I found pretty disgraceful. But he's got some work to do to get New Yorkers to get on board. I mean, again, we've got some slim pickings here.
Well, I was just going to say, have you seen any polling? Because if Eric Adams is running as an independent, and if let's say that Cuomo runs as
I think he'll run
a
again.
write-in or something, then, I mean, does he, and the Republican doesn't have a shot, I'm assuming.
I'm assuming that too, but he's run before.
I mean, is he going to win, do you think? What's the polling showing? Have you seen anything?
I don't know what the polling is. I think it's a little soon because we have a long way till November. So a lot can happen. And one thing that's interesting that I was, one of the many podcasts that I was listening to, that ranked choice voting provides, which is an interesting concept. It's kind of annoying. I mean, ranked choice voting's kind of annoying because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because if you want to be informed, you actually have to read up on all the people.
Yeah.
And the way it works most effectively is that you actually use all 5 slots. And it's not just for mayor, it was for borough president and for DA and for And so, I mean, it's hilarious because I do think that we as voters, it's important to do our homework, but a lot of us don't. And so one thing that's interesting about ranked choice voting is that it actually, except for Cuomo, it provides opportunities for coalition. So like Brad Lander ended up teaming up with Mamdani and said, if I win, I get your votes. If you win, you get my votes, which is very interesting because he's Jewish and the Jewish controller of the city. I don't know Mamdani. I'm assuming he's had a lot of time with him now, and that if he wants to endorse him or what do they call it? Cross endorse, that he must trust him to think, okay, he doesn't want the annihilation of me.
Why do you think they're making such a big deal then, like with the Kristen Welker interview, that he wouldn't condemn the phrase globalize the Intifada? Did you see that interview?
I did. Well, it's interesting because I fantasized that they were going to write back and say, yeah, he'll come on your podcast. And that was something we would ask. Because I'm with you. I mean, they'll talk about that there's many definitions to that. And I don't quite understand why he can't really clarify. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But also I don't know enough about it. All I know is from the sound bites that I have that are telling me he's bad, he's scary, he's this, he's that. Now, I think that freezing the rent is not the best choice. I think free buses, that could work. Free childcare, amazing. I don't know. It's very expensive. De Blasio did free pre-K, and it was a huge success. It's the one thing that I will give him credit for, which just helps human beings thrive into the world. When you have health, you have care, and you get to be nurtured, and your brain gets to, that's all good. The city-owned grocery stores, I think, is idiotic. My personal opinion. I think you're in the food business, but from what my research is that the markup is 1% to 3%. There is no room, and the fact that if you're having city-owned grocery stores, you're pushing out actually a lot of the immigrants that voted for you who own little bodegas. And one thing that I found interesting that I wanted to share with you was that when the precincts came in, that when a precinct was all black or all white, they voted for Cuomo. And if the precinct was a mixed group of all flavors together, they all voted for Mamdani. And also, the rich voted for Mamdani. And
why do you think that is?
I have zero idea other than I think, and of course the young people did. He's got fresh ideas. And I think the more I read about him and the more I learn about him, I'm like, he's not a bad guy. And I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. New York is so tough. And it's so tough being a politician here that if he's going to get, let's say he becomes the mayor. If he's going to get anything done, he has to work with everyone else. Otherwise nothing's going to get done. Nothing.
So you went through his 4 bullet points, his 4 main ideas, but you already said none of those are going to work.
No. I said free bus could be good. I mean, I think these are all very expensive. So he has to work on creating coalitions to figure out how to do it, because these are things that the city can't do alone. They have to have state approval. And right now our governor is saying absolutely not.
Do you like Mamdani because he seems like a good guy, and maybe he can't get all of his things accomplished, which I would call his socialist ideas? But because he's a good guy, he's going to be able to work with people to try to get things done. Would that be accurate?
I don't know, because I don't know him, and I did not vote for him. So I'm learning in a way the way everyone is, and I'm trying to deep dive and understand who he is, and not let any media tell me who he is. I think what I admire about him is that he's trying to connect with people, and he's trying to listen to people. And I think, like I said before, I think that's what we're trying to do. So I admire that in a person. Part of me, and this is not to discredit him, it reminds me of when I was in 4th grade. I went to a 4th grade through 6th grade school, and I think it was my very first election, and the 6th graders were voting for president for the school. And I remember being in the assembly hall, and these big kids were, giving their speeches, and they were saying, vote for me and I'll give you pizza. Like, it sort of feels like that to me. And of course, the kid that said, I'll give you pizza, he won. I think it was a boy, and he won, and there was no pizza. I think about that, and I go, well, I mean, because these are huge ideas, and one thing about huge ideas, it gets people's attention. And so much of it would cost so much money that I don't think there's a way that our city is incredibly wealthy, but I don't think our city could pay for it. But certain things, like, I love the idea of free childcare. I think that could really help so many working families that are really struggling to feed themselves and work, and I think that's a really interesting idea. Do I think it will work? I don't know. I'm open to that idea. Do I think the city-owned grocery stores are a good idea? Absolutely not. I think it's a stupid idea. That's my opinion. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think that you need. We just did the big food episode. Like, food's expensive, but government has so many issues getting anything done. Please don't. Like, I just think it's a bad idea. And I think it pushes out the bodegas, the people that have bodegas. And
if this was like the first big election for Democrats, and I know it was a primary, but this was kind of like, is this the way the Democratic Party is this the path that's going to start to go down for the midterms and all that? Is the Democratic Party going so far left that it's going into a socialist concepts? So I think that's scaring some of the, the Jeffries and Gillibrand and all that, like the dyed in the wool Democrats are going, wait a second, nope, we're going down. This is not going to help us win elections because we're going too far the other way. Are you hearing that?
I think New York mayoral politics is totally different than presidential politics. New York City is its own beast, and they try different things. I mean, we had 20 years of Republicans. We had Giuliani twice, and we had Bloomberg 3 times. And we're a Democratic city. I think trying to gauge where the country is by what New York does, I think doesn't make sense. I think New York City is its own experiment, and it's not necessarily how the country is going. I think that post-COVID, I mean, listen, Eric Adams, I just think he's a horrible mayor. And I think a lot of people are struggling in the city, and we're really curious and energized by someone that seemed like they were listening to them. I think that's something to pay attention to. I think that's what Trump's appeal has been. I think if we take it from like a macro level, people are feeling ignored or left out or left behind. And so these figureheads are saying, I see you, and let's try something. Listen, I also think the Democratic Party is a total mess. We've talked about this so many times. They need to innovate. They need to wake up. It's a complicated party. There are so many factions coming together, and they have to listen to everyone. And the centrist Democratic machine doesn't work anymore, period. Does that mean it's going to go like communist or socialist? I don't think so. I think there's room for everyone at the party, but I feel like that centrist line is just not listening anymore. It's just stodgy. It's stuck in its ways. Cuomo was, what an arrogant jerk. Like, he didn't even try. He's just like, I'm totally going to be the mayor. And he wasn't. He got his ass kicked. After the ranked came in, Mamdani won 54%. That's wild. I didn't vote for him. I don't really know. I'm curious about him. There's another thing about, like, with all these guys, whether it's mayor or president or senator, campaigning is so different than running something.
Yeah,
so we shall see. Like, we have zero idea. He is a young person with not very much experience. One thing that if he does become the mayor, he's very, very smart. And maybe he can surround himself with good people. That would be the only way I think he would succeed. And I would want him to succeed, not because he's a socialist, because I want my mayor to succeed. Like, honestly, I liked Bloomberg. I'm a liberal Democrat. He at the time was a Republican, but I liked him. He was efficient. He got stuff done. He knew how to run. The city is a beast. Like, it's hard. So I just want whomever to succeed.
But do you get that Republicans, because I feel like this is the same message that Bernie and AOC are out, saying as well. Do you think that you think that's all kind of a unifying message?
I don't know. I think, like, Mamdani was saying, like, he doesn't think billionaires should exist.
Why?
Well, similar to AOC. And
too much money's a bad thing?
Well, just the wealth inequality thing has become so out of control. We've talked about this before. And I think when only a few people own a lot of the wealth, I think we're in trouble. And it's wild, Jolene, like how, and we talked about this before, how like Warren Buffett's secretary pays more taxes than he does. It's that kind of shit that I think, I'm surprised it doesn't bother Republicans too. I don't think that's a bad thing, and maybe that's a Democrat thing or a liberal thing, but I think most of us work really hard And I think it would be nice if we're all contributing to the pot to make social programs or military work or whatever it is. I would just like the rich people to also pay. I'm not saying I'm taking their money, but why are you taking my money then? Like, let's all contribute. Like, again, I don't know this man, but when AOC or Bernie is talking about like tax the rich, I think that's what they're talking about. And I guess I don't really understand why, other than, of course, people want to keep their money, but why isn't that a priority for everyone, I guess?
Well, I think it is. And I think that's why they passed the big, beautiful bill. I mean, there were so many tax cuts in there for the working class that, and I know we're not going to get into that whole conversation, but there were so many tax cuts in there that will help, the child tax credits, that will help everybody who has a child in the U.S., not having to tax on tips and overtime, cutting the Social Security tax for people who receive Social Security. I mean, that helps people. So I think you're saying the same thing.
I totally, but I think that bill is a disgrace, and I totally disagree. And there are so many loopholes, and the tip tax, in fact, is like a very short. You have a cap on $25,000. Like it is absolutely benefiting the rich, and so much is cut on Medicaid, and there's going to be kids and old people that are going to suffer from this bill. And the way they have it written, it's not going to happen like during by the time that midterms happen. And I think one thing that I'm learning, Jolene, through this podcast is like, I didn't realize, and this is the right and the left, that they all write these bills to like put blame on the next party in case they don't win again.
Oh, yeah.
It's shocking to me. I'm just, I was so naive, I guess. I'm just like, wow. Has it always been this way, that we just want to pit each other against each other versus being one country?
Well, and especially like this 4th of July weekend, I mean, I think Trump's had so many wins recently that people who don't like Trump aren't willing to acknowledge the wins because they don't want to give him the satisfaction of saying that he's doing some good things. And I read, I don't know if you saw in the Free Press, the article about, being proud to be an American again and waving, having your flag. That used to be, people used to think that if you were flying your flag, you were a racist. I mean, your American flag. So I'm kind of trying to bring it back into this conversation with Mamdani, that we've gone to such extremes that Democrats aren't willing to say that Trump's doing some really good things and things that he had campaigned on and the Republicans are proud of. And the Democrats are going, we're going to push back as far as we can to the left. We need to have an uprising.
I mean, I would be happy to celebrate good things that Trump did. I would be happy to. This bill is not a good thing, and there were so many people that were bullied into it, and I'm just disappointed in all the lawmakers. I cannot believe that people don't have the guts to stand up if they feel that something's not okay. I'm disappointed in everyone, both the left and the right. I'm disappointed. I am more than happy to celebrate things that Trump does well. I get concerned by this bullying nature and these closed doors and people saying, no, I don't believe in it. And all of a sudden they flip. And I'm just really disappointed. And
But okay, would you consider that compromise?
No, because there is no compromise. They are just saying vote for this bill. There were only two guys that ended up in the House saying no, and it was, I don't know their names. It was a guy in Pennsylvania and a guy in Kentucky. I mean, Rand Paul, the senator, he said no. Susan Collins said no. And Tom Tillis said no, and then Tom Tillis said, I'm not running again. But I also feel like maybe Trump's extreme. If Mamdani is extreme, then Trump's extreme. I am so happy to celebrate a Trump win. I promise you, Jolene, I am.
How
And
about
for
the
him,
number of border crossings that we had last month?
I will
0.
I will congratulate you.
Well, you don't have to congratulate me. I think it's a win. I mean, you and I talked about immigration, one of our very first talks, and I
Yes.
think that, like you said, if he can solve the border crossing,
He
the
is-
immigration
he is-
problem, I will be the first to
Yes.
say, good on you.
I mean, listen, good for you, Trump. Good for you. I just heard an interview where this is the first time that people can remember that there are more people leaving than coming into this country. Now, with that, there are consequences. We'll see what happens in terms of jobs and who that, but that's the promise that he made to his voters, and he did it. And I will say to you, and I will say to the viewer and the listener, this is what Trump said he was going to do, and he did it, and good for you. I think that you have to be careful because of what might happen next in terms of meat processing plants, farmers, like, we'll see what goes, but I understand the concern of the border, and I understand that it was wildly out of control, both in Trump's first term and in Biden's first term and only term. Like, it was a huge issue, and I will absolutely acknowledge that he's done it.
Do you think after his term, after Trump's term, that there is going to be, like, we're finally going to come together because we're like, okay, enough is enough?
I mean, Jolene, I hope that. I think that's, if I've learned anything from our friendship and from working together, I think we both want that. And I don't think we're the only two that want that. I'm very grateful for the listeners and the viewers who come back every week and are grateful to have this forum of kindness and love and respect, and having really, difficult conversations and working through it and finding points of connection and points of disconnection, but still being like, okay, I love you, I care about you, let's figure it out. Where can we, let's keep talking, and I think the country is craving that. And I think Mamdani, it was more of a backlash of Cuomo. Like, people are sick of the bullshit.
Yeah.
I think that's something to look at. That the established Democratic Party does not work anymore. Does that mean it's going to go, I don't think so. I think they're just like, God, enough. Enough of this nonsense and this arrogance. They've decided who's going to run. They don't even ask us, right? Just like the whole thing with Kamala, quite frankly. But, like, let us figure it out, and let us fail. It's okay.
Yeah.
If Mamdani wins and he fails, it's okay. We tried something. It's not going to fall apart. There's too many other good people there.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Well, no, I would say I would agree. And isn't that the whole, like, to your point, that's the whole reason that Trump won?
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, let's get someone in there and who's not the, rank and file member of the party, and let's see if they can make some change.
Yeah. And clearly, and I say this to you as sincerely as I possibly can, I see that more of the country wanted that.
Yeah.
Y'all did it. It wasn't a fluke. You all resoundingly voted for him and voted red, voted, your senators and your congresspeople. And so here we are, and they're trying. They're doing something different. They're making the promises that they've made with Project 2025. They're things I don't want, but that's what they're doing.
I just hope, though, this doesn't give fuel to the anti-Semitism movement that is so, I think, prevalent in our country right now. I hope his win, and if he does win, I hope that there is some pushback, or that he can take some stuff back.
There's been anti-Semitism since the beginning of time. This kind of stuff makes me so uncomfortable talking about it. But I also think, like, people use anti-Semitism for their own gain. And they don't really give a shit. Like Cuomo. He's not Jewish. And so that also makes me uncomfortable. I'm like, you've actually never cared, or you've never known a Jew, and you've hated us anyway. And now it's used for this political thing. And this guy's Muslim, and we've never had a Muslim mayor.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Muslim politicians we have in New York.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But I do know the irony is that other than Israel, the most Jews live in New York City, and Jews voted for this man. So there's some disconnect that the media, right and left, want to grab onto it. But he's a Muslim, and he's saying globalized intifada. And then Brad Lander cross-endorsed him, and all these Jews voted for him.
Have you seen the breakdown of how many Jews voted for him? I didn't see that. I saw Asians, and he had a huge Asian population and a big Muslim population.
Yeah, I mean, there are the most Jews other than Israel in New York City. So
right.
A lot of people voted for him. I don't know the breakdown of Jews, but I know they did. He wouldn't have won. There's a lot of Jews in New York, and a lot of Jews vote. But I don't know. I don't know that answer.
I don't know.
But it's like, I'm with you, girl. Like, I absolutely hear what you're saying, and I don't want it to create more Jewish hate. I also don't want it to create more Muslim hate. It's so ugly. Like, it's what happened after September 11th. We just are so good at hating each other and throwing monikers on people or stereotypes on people. And I think we really forget that Americans, none of us came from here. We all immigrated, all of us. The white ones, the brown ones, we've sort of just decided that the white ones are the superior ones, I guess, and the white Christian ones.
Yeah, but I think we're past that. I really think...
I don't. We are still in a place, we're still in a society where if you're not a white Christian, you're not really... There are factions of people that don't accept you. Or question. I don't know, Joe.
I still push back on that. I think because we are America, because we, and again, just celebrating the 4th of July weekend of all of the things that we have gone through as a country to get to the place that we are, where we've had a black president, and we've got, I just don't think that racism and that sentiment that you have to be a white Christian.
So why is there so much pushback on Mamdani? And I don't mean just the right. The left is doing it too. Why?
Because I think he's embracing socialist values and not American values. And I think that's the thing that we're afraid of, that we're seeing all of this uprising. And whether, again, I said this earlier, whether it's the colleges and the universities, and like this, is this movement gaining steam to the detriment of the American values?
What is an American value?
Where everyone is created equal and everyone has an equal opportunity, and that no one is better than anyone else, whether that's Black, Muslim, Jew, like Asian, we embrace, America gives you the opportunity to be exactly who you are, where you are. There's no other country on the planet that has the opportunities that America gives you. And it doesn't need to be embracing that free enterprise system and not having government run grocery stores and not having free buses and childcare. And I mean, that system does not work in America. And if you want to make our system better, great, but let's not be Venezuela or Cuba, be America.
But New York City is the most expensive city in the country, and to live there is fairly impossible. And there are families that are trying to make their way. I mean, I don't see the problem with someone trying to help people in that community, whether it be some sort of program of free childcare. I don't know if it's going to get done. I don't think it is. But just even having the idea of like helping someone so that they can work and have a better life, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that's anti-American. I think that's human. I like that. The grocery store thing, I think, is stupid. I think you and I can both agree that I don't think it'll work. If he wants to try it, kumbaya, dude, try it. It will not work. Fine.
So I agree with you that I think that having programs that help the working class, but if you can't pay for it, it's just never going to work. And again, then I would go back, I know you're going to kill me. I would go back to the big, beautiful bill and say, there are things now in this law. It's not a bill, it's a law. There are things now in this law that are providing for that working class that should be recognized as helping the working class. Giving handouts doesn't work. Giving a hand up will work every time. Giving you a tax child credit, making there be a work requirement for Medicaid, gosh, I don't see anything wrong with that. If you are an able-bodied person.
But the people that are on Medicaid, like my mother was on Medicaid. Like old people are on Medicaid. Children are on Medicaid. How can that? And I agree with you, Jolene. I'm sure that there are people that take advantage of the system, and I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
100%. Yes.
Right? And
I know people that are on Medicaid and should be working, but they're getting a check.
I'm with you.
Yes.
I'm with you.
I think we would all agree on that.
But I think, I don't know. Do you know what the percentage of that I am concerned about the people that actually need it, not the people that are is it rigging the system, taking advantage of the system?
Yeah. So I think the intent then is handing it to the states, having the states have that control, because how does somebody in New Jersey know about somebody in North Dakota? Why have this, a federally mandated system that, hand it down to the states?
But that's all the state stuff is like the slavery thing. Is when you talk about the states, then we are the United States. Right? And now the more we're going through this, it's like separate the states, separate the states, separate the states. And then it's going to be, well, I mean, listen, New York and California and maybe Texas at this point, but New York and California for sure, they are economic engines for this country and give money to everyone. Like, we have 2 senators, everybody has 2 senators, but like South Dakota, North Dakota, all the smaller states that don't have much money, they take the money, but they don't provide very much money, or if any, but they have even more rights than we do in terms of voting rights. So what I find when people say states, keep it with the states.
Well, let's go back to that. Wait, what do you mean they have? Why do you think that they have better? Isn't that what the whole electoral college is? I mean, that's based on population of the states, and then you've got more representatives.
But we, New Yorkers, Californians, and I'm going to throw Texas in there, we are making the most money for the country and giving the money to the country to run. And when when people say bring it to the states, then some states will use that as a way to segregate, whether it be abortion or whatever it might be, is like state rights. But then they're very willing to take the money when they need it, and they're not generating the money. It's state rights when it's convenient, and it's United States when it's convenient. And I'm suggesting that it should be the United States all the time. And it's hard because we're a ton of people believing totally different things. And what I'm really struggling with, Jolene, is like, why are we fighting? Not you and me. Like, we're the United States. I want us, we're not all supposed to know, like, get along on everything. But why can't we get, like, why also can't we celebrate when we do come together?
No, you are making sense. I mean, and we would all agree on that. From the Republican side, we feel, I'm sure that we collectively as Republicans feel like Democrats will never give Trump credit for things that he has done successfully, because then that gives him, the accolades that I'm sure Democrats feel like he already gives himself. He doesn't need anybody else to give it to him.
Well, sometimes I think that that's actually true. Like everything, I've talked about this before, that everything is so performative, and he wanted the bill done by the 4th so that he could sign it under the planes flying overhead. And I'm sure that people are like, ugh, he's such a blowhard. I'm sick of this. I'm not going to, congratulate him too, whatever it might be. I can't speak for our legislative body. I just am exhausted by it because I'm like, the fighting doesn't work. It's not working, right? It's not working for, maybe it's working for the Republicans right now. I don't know. But it's not serving the Democrats to just be pissed all the time.
Yeah.
I just think that it's like societally, we don't want to offer any wins to either. Mm-hmm. Like, I think if the Democrats were in power, the Republicans wouldn't either. Not like, I just think that's where we are.
But didn't we do that with Obama? I feel like so many people embraced.
That was so long ago, girl.
It was.
Unfortunately, we're like a different country now. I hear you. I did feel like there was a time of hope then. But I also think there was a backlash. There's a lot of people that didn't like him. And that's kind of also why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts about Mamdani right now, or?
Oh, the other thing, the things that are out there now, here come the smear campaigns, right?
Yeah,
I mean, here comes the people that, say that his Columbia application and had him saying that he was African-American and that he was Asian. And, here come all the things that he's ever said. And of course, in my research, it was, he had a tweet in 2020 that said, defund the police, and that the police were racist, anti-queer, and major threat to public safety, and
which
all
he's
of
rolled
the
back
things.
now.
Yeah,
he has rolled back. I think he's gone out and talked to cops, and he's like, oh, because the major issue in New York City, and I'm guessing it's happening in a lot of the country, and I'm not defending Mamdani, but what I appreciate is he's like, okay, I gotta go talk to people, right? And that the major issue is the mental health crisis in New York City.
Yep.
And cops are not built to deal with it. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
And
right.
so Mamdani's suggestion of a solution is to create a mental illness force that would deal with that, and so that police can then police.
Yep.
Which I think is a really interesting idea, because we're struggling all over the country with this.
Right.
And I don't think it's not up to the cops. I don't think they're not mental health
equipped to deal with that. Yeah. I agree. I guess I want to end with saying it'll be interesting. I'm so glad we had this conversation, because I think it's going to be really interesting to see where this goes. And if he wins, will there be backlash? Who's going to fund him? I think it's going to be interesting now it's always about the money. And so it'll be interesting to see who funds him now. Will it be the white suburban women, or is it going to be the, Jews of, Manhattan? It'll be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there aren't a lot of Suburbans in New York City.
Well, I mean, at Staten
But
Island or
yeah.
I mean,
And I think it is interesting too. I think we can both totally agree in this. I'm curious to see what's going to happen too. And I think the conversation has made it even more interesting that I didn't vote for him. Like, I didn't come in here and go, yeah, go, go, go. I'm like, I didn't rank him. Like, I'm just as surprised as you are. And okay, here we go. And also confronting my own bias with this situation where I let the memes rule me and didn't really deep dive. And for what it's, to be fair, all of the interviews now are post his election. Now everybody wants to talk to him. I mean, I'm sure we could have gotten him on the podcast back in January, but now, like, everybody wants to talk to him. So I think that's interesting too. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I have a good for the soul.
Okay, good.
You know Trevor Noah? Do you know Trevor Noah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So he took over The Daily Show, and now he's a comedian, and he has his own podcast called Trevor Noah, What Now? And it's from like 3 weeks ago. I'll put it in the show notes. But he had Jon Stewart on. I mean, both of them are so smart and just have such deep love and respect for each other. I wanted to share it with everyone because I think it's a testament to friendship. I think Trevor Noah's perspective of being South African, not being American, and living here and dealing with the political landscape gives an interesting insight that now that, we didn't purposely try to find an Australian producer and editor and media company, but I am so grateful, and I think you are too, Jolene, for
absolutely.
Bambi Media and Brianna and Alex and the whole team who are in Brisbane, and not knowing that it's such a gift to have this perspective that they, look at us and, think all the Americans are bananas and also love us and are like, they don't have bias. Like they have their own stuff and they can look at both sides so much with such less charge. And I think that that's helpful. And I think this particular podcast is about like how Jon Stewart picked Trevor Noah and just their insights in the world and what's going on today. And it's funny and thoughtful and just celebrates their friendship, and which made me think of us and how much I celebrate you.
That is so sweet. That is so sweet.
It's true.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I do want to share, this is a guy that I started following. He came up on my feed, and he has such a interesting perspective on things. So his name is Stephen Eugene Kuhn, Kuhn.
Is he on Instagram?
Uh-huh. I mean, it's not entertaining and it's not good for the soul. It's
Okay.
frightening. And
it is?
But it's just, it has a really good take that it's really non-political. I don't know. I guess I don't know where he is on the political spectrum, because most of his stuff is not so much political, but is really kind of the back behind the scenes and what's really going on. So he has a really interesting take on the Russia-Ukraine situation, the Gaza situation, the bombing in Iran. Super interesting. So I would recommend his stuff. He doesn't he posts stories for the most part instead of posts, but they're quick little videos of stuff that's going on. And his wife, I can't remember if she's Ukrainian or Russian. So he has a lot of insights, but he travels and gives a lot of speeches to companies and organizations kind of about the whole geopolitical landscape. So
it says here, combat proven global business strategist, political disruptor, mergers and acquisitions.
It's super interesting.
As I'm looking this up, it says suggested for you, Joe Rogan. I'm like, okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Do you like
to?
Would you rather?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's hear it. Yes.
All right. Okay. Would you rather change the outcome of the last election or get to decide the outcome of the next election?
Oh, God, these are so good. Of course, I'd rather change the upcoming election.
Well, what if it was who you wanted for president?
That's what I'm saying. I would not want Kamala to be president right now.
No, but who did you want to be president?
Oh, you're saying, so it wasn't just between Kamala and Trump. You're saying I could have picked Nikki Haley. Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. No, I think
Does
Trump.
that change? Okay.
Yeah, no. Yes. I think, you know how I feel about Trump. I was not a Trump supporter. There were so many things I don't like about him. I am now on the Trump train. And yeah, I really am. And I think because he's really getting things done, I think he has gotten so much better about tweeting stupid stuff, and he doesn't do it as often. He still got in the whole Elon Musk thing, which was really dumb and immature. But I think that he's had a lot of success. So I guess I would have to say I would rather change the upcoming election than the last election.
Okay. All right.
I know. All right. Yours is always thought-provoking and, like, deep, and mine is not.
Okay.
Would you rather eat whatever you want, but always find a hair in it?
Ew.
Or have perfectly prepared menus, but they're only, for the rest of your life, but they're only 3 bland dishes? So, you get to eat whatever you want for the rest of your life, but you always find a hair in your food. Or have perfectly prepared dishes for the rest of your life, but they're just 3 bland dishes.
Could I add salt?
No. Can't add salt or sugar.
Sugar, no problem. Salt, I need salt all the time anyway.
I know it.
I have a dear friend who gave me so much shit all the time because I would go to the restaurant and I would salt things before tasting, which is not cool. I get it. But then I went to the doctor and my blood work, and they were like, you have low sodium. So I was like, just taking care of myself.
Yep.
I mean, the hair in the food is totally fucking gross. It's totally gross.
Sorry, Linda.
Whose hair? Yuck.
You don't know.
Like,
yep.
Either way, it would not make me want to eat. Either way, bland or hairy. Hairy or bland, bland or hairy. In your world, it's a good diet.
See?
So
yes.
if I'm going on the Jolene train. Forget the Trump train. I'm going on the Jolene train. And I'm going to go with the bland food because maybe it'll get rid of my menopause belly. And then I will be good to go.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because no hair in your food. No. Even my own hair in my food, I don't like it.
See, if I know it's mine, then I'm okay with that. Because I wash my hair every day, so I know.
I do too, but like, it's like a cat hairball.
Stop it.
Anyway, thank you, viewer. Thank you, listener. Please, we're not very good at this, but we're going to try. Could you please like, subscribe, and follow wherever you get your podcasts? We need to kick that algorithm in because we are getting close to being as big as Joe Rogan. So we need more of that.
We're getting closer every day.
We're getting so close every day, like the little engine that could every day.
Absolutely.
Just another viewer and another listener.
Yep.
All right, my dear, I love you, and I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
We've Got to Talk is produced across the world by the wildly talented, creative, and hilarious team at Bambi Media. Our theme song is Jump Jive Swing by Space Train Unlimited. Thank you so much for listening, and join us every week for another episode of We've Got to Talk.